It's my sense, my feeling, is that we're at an interesting moment because on the one hand we have the progress of women's rights, we have women leaders, we have a prime minister in Australia, we have a whole bunch of exciting and interesting things happening with women taking the helm of organizations like Google and Yahoo, right? So very important. And at the same time, we have women who are living in desperate and abject poverty. We have also a backlash against women's rights, which is significant. And so to that extent, I think networks become important because although the manifestations may be different, the theme is the same. And so no matter what country you go to, when women are dealing with a backlash, it takes different forms, but the same underlying issue is there. And so networks are incredibly important to share experiences, to think about strategy and tactics. So I think networks are important, but it's really important for us to think about why we're having those networks.
Networks have been critical to sustaining women's leadership, in catalyzing women's leadership, especially transnational leaderships, which bring together women to cross-fertilize ideas and cross-pollinate strategies that work across boundaries and borders. And networks help to sustain the momentum that's built through women's relationships, through women's connections to each other, as well as to build an emerging generation of women leaders that can seize the mantle of leadership. And what we see is that not only do networks encourage and help catalyze women into leadership positions, but there are times when networks help to save women's lives. It's often networks that come to support women when women are victimized by different political forces or different extremist forces. So women often rely upon those networks and unleash the power of those networks to help catalyze them, to help support them, and help them secure a future, not just for themselves, but for future generations to come.
It's important that as people continue to enter the conversation, that they also have the benefit of the wisdom of people that have been there before them, and that people who've been in the struggle have an opportunity to hear a new or fresh perspective.
When you have 12 million women speaking as one, politicians and policymakers have very few places to hide. So we have discovered that because women vote, and they vote more frequently, more often, and more reliably than men in every age cohort, that we can gather attention.
We're not done yet. There are new sets of challenges that require new and cleverer and different ways of networking. So I think what is particularly useful about the present is that we can tap into the wisdom of people who've been there, but now we have new powerful tools to network and to engage and connect with each other. So I think the newness is really about the power of social networks in general that we can now tap into. But I think the power is also a moment to realize that in the past we've not actually translated our activism and our work and our goals intergenerationally. And I really think that if we could do that, we will really be a force to reckon with in the world, which we ought to be.
By but leveraging, I guess, leveraging our voting records, our ability to network. And that's the one thing women can do. We are hardwired.
Established sort of a women's initiative in the World Fellows program that will be one of our main strategic priorities over the next few years. And I see this as a very important step to helping us realize that goal of empowering women, of inspiring women for positions of greater leadership, and of facilitating their transition to influential positions in a way that each of us can leverage our particular expertise.
Because the way the business world works, the way everything works, you really have to be involved in the world at large. We don't exist in a little microcosm. That would, not further the world.
Okay. I'm Gloria Blackwell, the Director of Fellowships, Grants, and International Programs at the American Association of University Women, where I administer a domestic and international fellowship program. I think this conversation was a very important one because for me it emphasized the importance of not just supporting women, not just funding women, not just providing women with educational and training opportunities, but to make sure that we give them opportunities to continue to collaborate, to continue to remain connected to each other, give them opportunities to continue to grow professionally, and also to stay connected to our own organization to help it to grow and to help it to thrive. And the conversation, even though we feel like we have the same conversation, every decade or so, there's always new learning, and as someone said, intergenerationally, it's important that as people continue to enter the conversation, that they also have the benefit of the wisdom of people that have been there before them, and that people who've been in the struggle have an opportunity to hear a new or fresh perspective.